everyone. I just got finished redoing this mirror with paint, sea glass, resin, and a great big shell in the middle. I've done some other mirrors in the house with tile and sea glass, and I'd like to show you those. And then after you see those, I'll show you how I did this from start to end. So this first mirror I purchased at Home Goods. It just was a wooden mirror. It didn't have any tile in it. I found some tile at a local tile store, and the tile, besides a few pieces, fit perfect. It was perfect width-wise to put 3 across, and then at the very ends, the top or the bottom, I may have had to cut some of the tiles. But it really makes the mirror look so much better when you have some tile or something else on it. I thought it was real pretty. Anyway, we had a few extra tiles left from there, and on this mirror in my daughter's bedroom, I also got it from Home Goods, painted it, and made 2, I have a mermaid mold, and I made 2 clay mermaids and painted them. And then I don't know if you can see, but there's some tile from the other mirror at the very top and bottom of the mermaids. And I thought that turned out cute. And then this was a dolphin mirror. I forget where I purchased this, and I put sea glass all over it, and this is another dolphin mirror. They were both the same size. They're about 4 foot long, and I put sea glass, jewelry, and shells on both of them and hung them up. So now back to the original project. Here we go. I purchased this mirror from Goodwill for $12.99. It is a plastic frame. Now the only prep work that I did to this mirror before I started painting it was to wipe it down and to put painter's tape around the perimeter to help with cleanup. Now if you do get any paint on the mirror, all you have to do is use a razor blade to scrape it up, and it cleans up just fine. This is Wise Owl chalk paint, and honestly I don't really care for this chalk paint, but I spent $25 on it, so I figure I might as well use it up. When I'm doing multiple coats of paint on anything, I always put the brush in a plastic bag between coats. That keeps it from drying out, and then I don't have to wash it out each time. I ended up putting 3 coats of paint on the frame of this mirror, and I think it turned out pretty nice. When I was done painting, I took silicone caulk and went around the perimeter of the top of the frame, because I plan on using, doing like a insert with glass, and I want to pour resin on it, so I don't want any leaks. After I let that dry for 24 hours, I used something called Big Top After Show Varnishing Act. It's a DIY product. DIY makes chalk paint, and this is a sealer that you put on chalk paint. There's many types of sealers you can put on chalk paint, but this particular one is what I chose to use. It's really easy. You just go ahead and use a regular brush and put 1 to 2 coats on. It says dry time is 30 minutes. In the past, I've used a wax sealant, and that you kind of have to rub all in and buff after. And you're supposed to replace that every year or so, whereas with this, it's a one-time thing and you're done. And it's to be used on interior surfaces only. So next I started sorting through my blue sea glass, choosing the pieces I wanted for the top. Now with this particular project, I am going to use resin, as you'll see in a few minutes. But this project could easily be done without resin. You could use a caulk, like a silicone clear caulk, and put it behind each of the pieces of sea glass or faux sea glass after you've determined their placement. And that would hold just as well, just dry for 24 hours, and you wouldn't even have to mess around with resin. So the glass I'm using in this project that I call sea glass is actually faux sea glass. It's glass that I've prepared myself by breaking up things like bowls and vases that I've found at garage sales and Goodwill that have different colors to them, and then tumbling them in my tumbler. And now it's time to prepare the resin. When working with resin, you should wear gloves, and although this is a low odor resin, it's in your best interest to wear a respirator. The resin that I'm using that I got off of Amazon is called Diction resin. I've tried out many different resins, and this is very similar to all of them in that it's a 1-to-1 ratio. You mix part A equal parts with part B. You stir it slowly. The slower you stir it, the less bubbles you'll have. Scrape the sides and the bottom, and you should be stirring it for 2 to 3 minutes. When you're done stirring, you can pour the resin on top of the glass. If you don't want the glass to be shiny, you can always pour the resin first and then put the glass on top of it. I like the glass to be shiny. Also, it's best to have rubbing alcohol on hand for any cleanup if you get it on your hands or on your clothing or on the mirror frame. It'll clean right up. When you're done putting the resin on, you need to hit it with the heat gun to get rid of any bubbles that you might have. I always put it to the low setting. It has 2 settings, a high and low setting. I put it to the low setting because the high setting is so strong it can blow it up over the side of the frame. And then on the very back of the heat gun is the temperature setting, and I put it around 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And it can take up to 5 minutes to blow the bubbles out. And when I say blow the bubbles out, I really mean heat the bubbles out, because I do know that some people just use some type of torch to, and I think the heat is what actually helps the bubbles to dissipate. Anyway, it can take up to 5 minutes depending on how many bubbles you have. When you're done with your project, you can clean up any drips or spills with rubbing alcohol. It works well. And then it needs to dry overnight on a flat surface between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's in your best interest to put some kind of protective paper underneath it just in case there's any leaks.